In the past 3 years, I've made over $500,000 from YouTube automation, and in this video, I'm gonna walk you through every single step that I would take to start a brand new channel from scratch and grow it all the way to $10,000 a month and beyond. I'm gonna be talking you through every single step of the way so that you have the blueprint that you can use to build your very own YouTube automation channel that makes you hundreds of thousands of dollars passively every single month. But for those of you who are interested and want to succeed, make sure you watch all the way to the end and implement all the things that I'm about to reveal for you. Let's begin. Now, before we get into creating your videos, it's important to understand what a faceless channel actually is and how it compares to your traditional personality channel. Up until recently, the novelty of being a YouTuber was limited to those who were willing to get on camera and record themselves creating content. But entertainment has evolved, and we've now reached a place where you can get all of the pros from your traditional personality channel without needing to show your face, edit your videos, or really do any of the content creation work on your own that you'd normally need to be an expert of. This means you don't have to commit to a lifelong journey of being a dancing monkey online like myself, but instead actually leverage capital to create the content for you and buy back your time. Now, with that out of the way, let's start our channel. So we're going to actually first start off by choosing a niche, and this step is very, very important. As Warren Buffett once said, it doesn't actually matter how hard you row if you're in the wrong boat. So there are a lot of niches out there, and most are good, but there are some that I personally advise against, at least for your first channel. I don't think that when getting into a new business, you should jump into the deep end. You should at least choose one that has the easiest barrier of entry and the lowest amount of friction. Here's what the best criteria is for identifying a winning niche. Number one, the audience you're working with is massive. I mean, you want to work in a niche that has a huge audience because you want to have a lot of potential views. This not only increases your chances of going viral because there's so many opportunities to have your videos watched, but it also gives you a lot of valuable data to work with fast. And that's what you need so you can begin making data-driven decisions as soon as possible. Number two is popularity and obsession. If you pick a niche that is very popular and has a cult-like fan base, the chances of going viral are very, very high. I mean, think sports, animals, celebrities, niches like those. This is a great indication that you can go viral quick because these people are very passionate and they love to engage, and YouTube loves engagement. And number three is projective lifeline. You want to get into a niche that has a proven track record that you know will stick around. I mean, the worst thing that can happen is that you get into a niche and that niche dies after about 3 months. It's just not worth it. Do the proper research and get into a niche that you know will last as long as possible so that the work and effort that you put in now will continue to compensate for years to come. It's equally important to know also which niches to avoid. So I'm going to give you a quick list to make sure you avoid them at all costs. These would be niches like meditation or relaxation videos, motivation videos, or drug-related content, music and lyrics, kids content, general gaming content, and crypto. Now, I say this because they're either not working anymore to monetize or they're just so competitive it's not even worth attempting, at least as a beginner. Now, if you guys want to know exactly how I find the absolute best niches that are working right now with a hidden method that I call the dummy account method, then I'll leave a link to you guys in the description and it walks you through it all. Okay, you got to the point and now know what steps you need to create a channel that actually makes money. But if you want to learn some more essential tips on how to structure this business in a way where you'll be guaranteed to create consistent viral videos every single time, then just keep watching. All right, now you found your niche, and the next step is to put together your dream team. And this is arguably one of the most important steps because if your team is shit or you're using AI, you'll never go viral and make money. And this whole thing is just going to remain a pipe dream. So I personally like to use sites like Fiverr and Upwork to find these teams. And it really just comes down to posting the right job and refining your search the best ways. Now, it's also essential to have the right budget. I tell my students to spend between $70 to $100 a video, and this ensures that I'm paying my team enough to actually hire the caliber of freelancer that is competent enough to create the videos that I need. Yes, you can always get people cheaper, but you know what they say, you get what you pay for. As much as you're saving money, you're also typically dealing with lower level individuals who are awful at communication, always late on deadlines, don't pay attention to copyright, and overall, they just cause more headaches than they do results. So it's important to come in having the right budget. I've seen that some of the best talent can be found on Upwork, so I would suggest heading over there, creating a profile, and then just creating a job post to attract potential candidates to start working with you. Now, there is an art to attracting the best of the best, so to help you skip through that learning curve of figuring that out for yourself, I'm actually going to give you my exact copy and paste templates for creating the job for each role, along with actually sharing how to request samples from them, and lastly, how to put them through an interview process to make sure they're actually the best option for you. This document will make this process extremely simple, so I really hope it helps you as much as it's helped my students and I. All right, now that you have your dream team assembled, you need to start looking for topics for your channel channel. And this actually is the most important step. You can literally have the best edited, the best scripted, the best visually compelling video out there. But if your topic sucks, your video will never go anywhere. So what makes the topic good? Well, let's break it down. I mean, viewers come to YouTube for 4 main reasons. Number 1, to solve a problem. Number 2, to be entertained. Number 3, to be inspired. Or number 4, just to stay up to date. So you need to structure your videos in a way that aligns with any of those. I'm also going to debunk one huge thing for you right now. You do not need to be creative, original, or out of the box to go viral. That's literally the biggest lie. What it actually takes to go viral is doing the proper niche research and knowing what people want to watch. That's it. So let's just take an example from one of my channels. I run quite a few, but here's one Faceless documentary that I created on an orca whale that got me over 11 million views and made me over $22,000. Does this look original or unique to you? No. I saw a demand and did the proper research and executed, and this is all it really takes. It's not rocket science. All right, guys, so now it's time to actually start creating your videos. I'm going to give you the exact strategy and facts on how I continuously create viral videos over and over for myself and all my students. So let's get right into it. Starting off with the most important part of the video, which is the thumbnail and the title. Now, let's actually talk for a second about how important this step really is. Let me know if this sounds familiar to you. You choose the topic, you create an amazing video, and then you hit upload, and what happens? Crickets. Here's why. Your thumbnail and your title packaging is absolute shit. Hear me out. Viewers are flooded with videos every single time they open up their YouTube. So why would they choose to click on your video? I mean, it's a fact that when somebody's scrolling on the home feed or the search, you only get less than 1 second to fully convince someone that they should watch your video over the next one. Now, the eye will first draw to the thumbnail, and if that checks out, then they're going to go ahead and read the title. Now, if you're 2 for 2, then they'll actually click on your video and watch, but that's only the first battle won. So here's some do's and don'ts on thumbnails, and this is coming from someone who's done tens of millions of views. All right, so here's what you should do. Number 1, always make sure to have as high quality of thumbnail as possible. Everything must be as clear so that when you're scrolling on your phone, you can basically see and read everything clearly. Also, try your best not to use a frame of the video as the thumbnail, but rather actually try and recreate something overall new by referencing the topic of the video itself. Now, most people use dark mode on their phones or their browser, so try to make your thumbnails bright and vibrant whenever possible. Now, I do suggest avoiding thumbnails that are dark, but sometimes they actually do work well, so it's worth testing it out. And lastly, try to evoke as much emotion as possible through your thumbnail, whether it's curiosity, pain, happiness, etc. And here's what you should not do. Don't use low quality images or uncropped screenshots as the thumbnail. Don't use small fonts that are difficult to read. So just make sure that your font is big and bold. Don't use too many words on your thumbnail. Less is always more. And don't just copy and paste a competitor's thumbnail. Only use them for inspiration. Also, don't repeat what the title says on your thumbnail. I mean, that's just a waste of precious real estate. Your thumbnail should actually complement and expand on your title to give it more depth and understanding of the topic. All right, so now you guys have a viral worthy thumbnail on your hands. Let's move on to the titles. Now for titles, there's something that I need to say. The era of using vidIQ or TubeBuddy to rank your titles is just gone. Just because your title reads 100 out of 100, it does not mean it's going anywhere. What I've been finding is that videos now need to be optimized for humans, not for AI. Unless you have a search-based channel, I promise this holds true. Now, this doesn't mean cutting out all the keywords, but it does mean that you need to entice your viewer to focus more on watching your video through curiosity, interest, or just blatantly being more polarizing. Again, here are some more do's and don'ts, starting with the do's. Try to keep your titles between 60 to 70 characters long. This way, everyone can fully read the title without it getting cut off. It's also a very good idea to title the video as a question, as this sometimes raises curiosity. Doesn't always apply to every niche, but it's definitely worth giving it a shot. The title is also the best place to simply add more context to the thumbnail, so make sure you're always looking at it this way. All right, and now simply enough for the don'ts. Don't use repetitive words. Refrain from using words that contain profanity or are or drug related. And lastly, don't ever repeat what's written in the thumbnail in your title. Really want to emphasize that one. Now, just to really drive this home, I'm going to show you guys some examples of good titles and horrible ones. Starting off with this one, things you only notice in Starship Troopers as an adult. Now, the reason why this is a great title, as reflected by the amount of views it got, is because of this formula here that you can actually use on your own channel. So let's start breaking it down. The formula is things you can only notice in insert entity as an insert specific type of person. So those brackets are the variables that you want to mess around with. Now with this, you can actually modify and mold it accordingly. But the reason that this title did so good is because it builds curiosity by making you wonder what these things actually are. It also kind of gives you the feeling that you're getting some sort of exclusive exclusive information, and people really love that. Another solid title is My Results Walking Every Day, Fat Loss. Now the formula here is my results, insert activity, every day, and then followed up by the end goal. The reason this works so well is that people love to hear about things that you can do or have done every single day. The time frame also makes a video more tangible, and lastly, throwing in the goal also gives people more reasons to click because there's now more value to the viewer to spend time watching your video. All right, and lastly, let's talk about a bad title. All right, Conor McGregor, Untold Story, #documentary. Now, the reason this title didn't really convert is because it doesn't really tell the viewer too much. It doesn't really create that curiosity gap, nor does it entice a passionate audience to want to watch and learn more about it. So instead, I would try this: How Conor McGregor Just Ruined His Career, or The Untold Story of Conor McGregor's Downfall documentary. So the reason I position it this way is that to really stand out, you need to stand out. So to stand out from the heaps of similar videos, I would try controversy to really steal the attention from somebody else and get them clicking on your videos in seconds. All right, now you've dialed in your strategy and are ready to start creating some winning titles. There are still 4 more parts left of the video. This is where you really need to pay attention because otherwise everything that you've learned up until now won't matter and your videos will not get results like these. So the next step is to write a script, and a lot of people overlook the importance of this, but really it's the lifeline of your video. It's the flow and the cadence of your video. If the flow and the cadence of your video suck, people are just going to click off. The goal here is to give YouTube what they want, and what they really want is watch time. So when you're creating your script, you need to have this at the top of mind. Now, to create a video that compels people to watch, you need to have a storyline. Now, a storyline consists of the exposition, otherwise known as the intro, the rising action, the climax, and the falling action, or the conclusion or resolution. Keep in mind, this doesn't actually apply to every video style, but whenever possible, try to actually follow this structure to peak retention in your video. Also, always try to be conscious of adding open loops, pattern interrupts, hooks, sound effects, overlays, any of that kind of stuff to just place on your video and keep the audience interested and retained for as long as you humanly can. You can do this by either saying something interesting, important, controversial, or even just simply adding some humor. But one key thing that I would always avoid at all costs is adding fluff. Never just add to your video to make it longer. If it doesn't serve a purpose in your video, remove it. More things to consider are actually the length and the cadence of your script. So YouTube will actually always favor a longer video, but if that video has a horrible average view duration, the video will never get pushed out to the masses. Now, on the contrary, if your video is too short, then it also won't be seen as a good video and it won't get pushed out, even if it has a solid AVD, which is your average view duration metric that YouTube looks at and weighs very heavily. So the key is to make your video last as long as you can while ensuring there is no fluff and as much dopamine and pattern interrupts as possible. Now, let's talk about the most important step of the script, and this is the intro. Now, it's essential to actually have an intro that meets the expectations of the title and thumbnail package that you use to reel in your viewer. So how do we create a killer intro? Let's dive in. The first thing you need to do is analyze your thumbnail and title and understand what mood or vibe or expectations you've actually set with it. Once you have it, then you need to make sure that the entire video, but most importantly, the intro aligns with all of them. The best way to crush the intro is to just get right into the video and start delivering value ASAP. Do not start the video by asking people to like, comment, or subscribe, or any of that stuff. You've not only not earned that yet, but it's actually just cringe and nobody listens to it. It's just fluff. The last tip I want to give you on script writing is to teach you the most elite way to blow up your channel while just making a minor change to your strategy. This is what I call the session outro strategy, and it works as follows. Going back to what YouTube wants, their primary goal is to keep people on their platform. So when people watch a large portion of your video, or rather all your video, this is a great sign for them. But when they watch one of your videos and then go straight to another and then another, this is when the algorithm will truly bless your channel and blow up your videos. Because now you're signaling to YouTube that you have quality content that keeps viewers on the platform, and that's exactly what they love the most. So to properly crush the strategy out, you want to first plan out your content ahead of time, identify the next topic so that when your first video ends, it's designed to actually efficiently link up to your next video, and then to follow the same strategy over and over and over again to get maximum results. When successfully done, you'll see all these videos start to blow up as the session time of your channel continues to increase. This is a surefire way to instantly go viral with as many videos at once. All right, now that we have a killer script, there's not too much to be said other than the fact that you want to try and work with voiceover artists who are native speakers. They have a very high quality mic, and actually work with an artist who matches the genre and niche of your content. Otherwise, people will just get bored and click away. And now last but not least, let's talk about the editing process. I want to first emphasize how lucrative this opportunity is that you have to outsource this specific part. I mean, I used to personally create and edit my own videos, and this was one of the most time-consuming and strenuous processes that I've ever experienced on my own. Your editor has the entire responsibility to just take the voiceover that you supply them and further find all the content online, edit it all together, add the music, the transitions, the text, the animations, and so on and so forth, while making it super engaging and making sure it's all copyright free. Just wanted to shine some light on how lucky we are to have this service at our disposal. Anyways, the real key to having a strongly edited video comes down to the pace and the interest. So I want you to ask yourself, how consistently can you keep the pace of the video, and how much interest can you keep over time to keep that viewer actually watching? Unfortunately, the attention span of the average viewer these days is quite small, so there still needs to be a lot of effort and focus on intentionally captivating and motivating your viewer to stay focused. One of the best and easiest strategies to convince an audience to stick around is pattern interrupts. Now, pattern interrupts can be found in a multitude of options, and I'm going to give you some classic ideas. So we have transitions, sound effects, video or text overlays, slowing down, speeding up, panning in, panning out, and adding humor. Now, in parallel to actually creating pattern interrupts to keep the viewer captivated, another important thing to note is cutting out the fluff and just transitioning your videos as often as possible. Now, this means removing the parts of the voiceovers where your narrator is taking long breaths or pauses, number one. And number two, for retention, I also recommend that you run the clips no longer than about 5 to 7 seconds at a time. This is going to ensure that the viewer is getting consistently hit with new content over and over, and will keep them heavily retained. Now, lastly, it's very important that the editing style of the video actually matches the niche and the genre. Otherwise, it can result in very low watch time and convert poorly. So make sure to study and dissect your competition so that you don't run into this issue. So now the hardest part is out of the way. Let's quickly walk you through the process of starting your channel so that you can now launch your videos and get your first viral video out there. First step is to come up with a name for your channel. You can either do this on your own, or you can use this ChatGPT prompt and it'll do all the dirty work for you. Just make sure that when you find one, you cross-reference it with other channels on YouTube, just to make sure that the brands don't overlap. To do this, it's very simple. You just actually type in the name of the channel in the search bar, click on refine, and then sort by channels. And if you don't see any other ones there, then you're good to go. Now that the name is sorted, you want to hover over to the top right and you'll see an option there to sign in. From there, you can actually create a new account. And I personally do suggest starting a channel with a fresh email. So head on over to Google, make a new email, and then you can use it to create your channel. All right, channel acquired and created. So the last step before posting your videos is to get your branding dialed in. You can do this in two different ways. The first is the cost-effective way, and that's actually just using Canva to create a free one for yourself. Or if you don't have the time or the creative capacity, I would just head over to Fiverr, do a quick search for YouTube banners, and hire someone to do it for you. Now, if you follow everything that I've given to you correctly, there is no doubt in my mind that you will make your first $10,000 a month with your very own Faceless YouTube automation channel. And after watching this video, you literally have everything you need to get started. However, I do want to say, if you decide to try all this yourself through trial and error, this will be the path of most resistance. I mean, it took me over 3 years and tens of thousands of dollars to get to where I am today. And while I've given you the shortcut in this video, there will still be bottlenecks and constraints that will come up that are specific to your situation, where I can't help you directly. In the end, the time that you take to do it yourself will inevitably cost more than it's worth. And even worse, by the time you do figure everything out, everything could have changed and you'd be back to square one. But if you want to avoid all that pain and take the fastest and easiest path to start your YouTube automation channel this year with the help of experts who know what they're doing and actually run their own channels to this day, and also have helped hundreds of others do so themselves, then click the link in the description right now to learn how my team and I can help you turn this dream into a reality.